Trump Jr. Going on The View to basically push his book Triggered, which is hilarious because the only person who ended up getting triggered on that panel was Don Jr.
Hey, can I just say, look, they've been getting triggered all over the book tour. So Kimberly Guilfoyle, if you remember when the conservatives were yelling at them at UCLA, she got triggered. She's like, who raised you? What kind of a person are you? The book is called Triggered. You can't get triggered. But here she is anyway.
While Donald Trump Jr. was making his appearance on The View, he was asked some pretty tough questions when it came to the impeachment investigation, and he really did struggle in defending his own father. Take a look.
In the memo of the call that was released from the White House between your father and the Ukraine president, your father said, I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. And we have the entire part of the memo here. The other thing, there's a lot of talk about Biden's son, that Biden stopped the prosecution, and a lot of people want to find out about that. So whatever you can do with the Attorney General would be great. This is the basis of the impeachment inquiry. Why is that a sham?
The whole
thing,
first of all, because nothing was withheld. The other guy on the other side actually said, I have no idea what you're talking about. No one knew any aid was even being withheld. The other guy in the Ukraine, in terms of aid being withheld. So no one knew about these things.
But that's not true, that's a lie. Military aid was withheld.
Yeah.
Yes. No one knew about it in the Ukraine. So there was no quid pro quo. You see all the other aspects of this coming out.
It was withheld.
So Sunny Hostin is 100% right. I mean, you see Don Jr. really fumbling there, but there is additional evidence indicating that Ukrainian officials did know that military aid was being withheld unless Zelensky went on CNN, Fareed Zakaria's show, and announced that he was launching an investigation into the Bidens, right? And so you have Kurt Volker, who was writing the statement on behalf of Zelensky, right, for Zelensky. And there was this whole negotiation happening between US and Ukrainian officials. So what he said there was a lie, but you can tell he was lying because he was stuttering and fumbling all over the place.
Yeah, now that we have the latest breaking story that we covered at the top of the show showing that the Ukrainians 100% knew that the aid was being withheld, until they made a damaging statement about Joe Biden. His last defense doesn't make any sense either. He says it wasn't withheld, not remotely true. Sunny Hostin points that out. And then he says, well, they didn't know about it. They didn't know we were trying to be criminals, so I guess we were failed criminals. Also not true. They definitely knew about it and they were under intense pressure. And if you noticed, he doesn't even know the Ukrainian president's name. He's like, the other guy involved in Ukraine, you know, the other guy. It's Zelensky, the guy that your dad is gonna get impeached over. But doesn't bother to do his homework just like his dad.
It's amazing. And then finally, when it comes to Gordon Sunland, who is the EU ambassador, Don Jr. asks or is asked about why Sunland changed his testimony to confirm that there was quid pro quo.
Did Gordon Sunland lie then when he changed his testimony yesterday?
Well, I don't know why he changed his testimony. It's sort of interesting. It almost, he says something.
He's afraid of
on the record.
He's afraid of going to jail.
Or he's afraid of being attacked like so many of us have for so long by a vicious left that's running a one-sided sham thing. By Adam Schiff, who's doing a one-sided thing. Republicans
Children!
So while he says that the left is vicious, just keep in mind that Donald Trump, Rand Paul, and the rest of the Trump lackeys are running around demanding for the release of the whistleblower's identity. Some have gone so far as to, on social media post a name. I don't know if it's confirmed. We are not gonna share a name like that on this show, but nonetheless, they're posting it. They're putting someone's life in jeopardy because this individual did the responsible thing in filing an official whistleblower complaint against Trump for something that Trump did that was wrong. That was clearly wrong.
Look, this is how vengeful they are and how crazy they are. So today, Glenn Beck apparently had a long diatribe about how the whistleblower is going to be killed by the Democrats. Like some QAnon-like conspiracy where the whistleblower is actually on Trump's side or some insanity like that. We'll look into it more. Maybe we'll have more of that on tomorrow's show. But Donald Trump Jr. is also a guy who's gone after the whistleblower. But the reality is the whistleblower actually is totally irrelevant. They're latching on to him to make him some sort of enemy to be hated. But he said, hey guys, red flag, there's a issue here and you should look into it. We did look into it and it turns out he was right. And we now have half a dozen witnesses who all say the same thing. So you don't need the whistleblower at all.
I know.
He's just the one that raised the flag. And so when they originally said some of his evidence is hearsay, if you remember on this show, I said that's actually true, but that's why they're gonna do an investigation and find out if it's hearsay that's wrong or hearsay that's correct. They did the investigation and they found the actual witnesses. The whistleblower is totally irrelevant, but these guys are like a mob. So they're like, the rat, we gotta find the rat so we can go crush him, right? And then you say the left is vicious? Hilarious.
I mean, it's all about retaliation. And more importantly, it's about intimidation. Because you think there aren't more potential whistleblowers in the Trump administration? This is their way of, because remember, if this individual's identity is released and you know that if you're a potential whistleblower and you know that that could happen to you, are you willing to come forward and blow the whistle on potentially criminal activities in the Trump administration? It's terrifying. And in this climate of political violence, I mean, it's not an easy decision to make. This is a form of intimidation, plain and simple.
And look, it's a mob move, because the biggest crime in the mob is ratting people out, working with law enforcement, working with the cops to tell them about your law breaking. So the funny thing is they're not going after the witnesses nearly as much who say, yes, he did the crime. They're more worried about the original rat who told the cops on us. Look, if it wasn't a lifelong criminal enterprise for the Trump organization, you would say it's irrational, it doesn't make any sense. But it's their instinct. Hey, we break the law all the time, make sure that you target the guy who pointed it out.
So Lieutenant Colonel Vidman, who has testified in the impeachment investigation and who has confirmed that there was quid pro quo, he has been defamed, slandered by these Trump lackeys over and over again. They've accused him of being a never Trumper, all sorts of nonsense. You know that he's still showing up to work every day in the White House?
Look, that guy's brave, a lot of them are brave, and I hope they have protection because the president has completely deranged followers who literally send pipe bombs and try to murder people who are opposed to the president. So, and Donald Trump Jr. and all of them go on and egg people on all throughout. Last thing, because it's just randomly funny. Remember, as I was mocking last week, the Republicans' defense of Donald Trump, including Kevin McCarthy, he was just throwing out legal terms that had no logical connection to this case. It was just like mad libs of Trump defenses, legal terms. And I even said in my joking around, they'll just come out and go, there's no prima facie case, because it's just a random Latin word that Kimberly Guilfoyle in that appearance said, there's no prima facie case. Okay, it again, makes no sense in this context. You don't need a prima facie case, but it doesn't matter. It's like, if I use a Latin word, nobody will understand it, and I'll seem smart. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.